Welcome to another podcast of Adeel Pirzada podcast. I'm your host, Adeel Pirzada, and I have my co-host here, which has been your host, the only host for last couple weeks. I think it was 2 weeks. I missed. How are you doing, Kevin?
Doing well. I'm very happy that I got a chance to, be on the show and be the only guy on the show. But I know it's
Getting
all
the
eyes.
highlight.
Yeah, I know it's all eyes on Adeel today, and I had fun sharing some advice for young men. I trust a lot of people and young men watch this video to become more successful in construction. However, Adeel Pirzada, it's named after you. It's all eyes on you. So here's yours today then.
No, I'll share the credit. You deserve the credit, so I'll share it with you. It's the podcast, it's the effort from both of us, by you as well, Kevin. So thanks a lot actually being here when I was away. I was taking care of some very important stuff. We have a lot going on, so I was kind of occupied with that. So I'm so glad that Kevin was able to cover when I was away. Today we actually want to talk about some of the issues that actually come up a lot in our industry.
Before we get started, is it okay if I just say this?
Yeah.
We're trying something out. I'm wondering if you want to stay up to date, and before Adeel shares his value, before you guys click off this video, if you want to stay up to date for all our real estate and construction value, make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like, or mainly just hit subscribe, so you could get the notifications the next time Adeel has something to share. That comes up right away. So.
Yeah, and subscribe. You know what? We're trying to make the effort and trying to share, because I never had that help when kind of looking into construction business and all that. There's nothing about construction, let alone commercial construction. So, and there's a lot of things that actually we feel that our customers, like franchisees, till this day, they don't have that help, they don't have that knowledge, they don't have that guidance. So the sole purpose initially for this show is actually to just help out our client, our audience, people that have interest in construction, that want to learn about construction, and then they may learn one or two things while you guys listen to us patiently. Yeah. So today we were thinking what we're discussing, and it's something that we want to discuss, which is it's kind of very known in the industry, and it happens with so many people. Pretty much every single construction project is a victim of that, which is called delays. So construction delays. You know what? And I was thinking about, okay, why do the delays happen? And what's the reason behind it? There's so many obvious reasons why it happened and how they could be avoided. So today we'll be talking about what are the construction delays, why do they happen, and how you can avoid them.
Yeah, and it's good that if you're listening to the show, it's good that you know why this happens. So next time you see a GC or a construction project that's taking a while, don't think wrongly about that company. There could be so many different factors happening with that project that you may not know that is happening behind the scenes. So Adeel's going to share some value based on his experience as well.
A lot of time, it actually looks like the contractor that you hired, the GC you hired, is the reason for the delays, even for your own project while you're in contract with them. But even then, things could be very differently. And it really depends on the contractor. I'm not trying to take it away that contractors are not late. Like I said, every single construction project is a victim of that. Because of these delays, they all happen. And every project has that ability to be delayed, actually, is just waiting there on the next move not to happen. So it could be delayed. That's the whole point of project management, is that the biggest thing is the schedule. And delays happen in every industry, right? Even you have an office, is a lawyer's office, and they got people working on something, and then they were supposed to have it done by tomorrow, and it didn't happen, blah, blah, blah. That's a delay. But in construction, it's a very known thing, and as soon as you hear it, people, and it's attached to a lot of things, like, you're building maybe your dream home, your renovation, your business, and it's not getting completed. So it's very obvious when it comes to construction, those delays, they cause many other things to happen, which are not good. And why do they happen? That's the biggest thing. Like, why are delays happening in construction? And who's responsible for that? So I just want to share on that a little bit. First, talking about construction delays, the reason why they happen is there's multiple reasons. There is not one single reason. You actually, even after being in construction industry till this day, if I looked at project, I can't really tell why this project hasn't been moving. Why is the delays? There is many reasons why they happen, but I'll just talk about common ones. So, like I said, not necessarily all the delays are from the contractor, but majority of the time it is from the majority, of the contractors that actually put their customer or the project in the delay. But there are other reasons why delay happen. Number one, I would say an example, if you are getting a new building, a new shell from your landlord, a vanilla shell, and is being built, and they told you a certain date, and let's say they said September 1st, it would be ready, and you got everything ready to go in there. Even you had a contractor move in there, but they can't really do much because the original contractor, the base building contractor, still hasn't received their approvals on their end while they're finishing construction. So they still have a certificate of completion and all these things before the tenant's contractor can move into the property, and that hasn't happened. So that's a delay for the tenant. Now, the tenant's contractor might be in a delay because of that as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. The landlord maybe is taking time. There are times when we've worked on a project, we've bidded on some projects that the landlord is still building the place, and they promised the tenant to, hey, it's going to be done by July, but then it's like it's not even fully built. By July, it's like August, and it's not even done. So there goes 1 month.
We see that happening all the time. We have a lot of tenants. Our clients will come and they'll say, hey, my place is getting done June 1st. I need to hire somebody and you guys need to move in right away, blah, blah, blah. And actually we go drive by the place and they haven't even started building the base building. It happens. Now, I'm not saying the client is wrong. It's just this is what hearing. They're not these, like, people are not expert in construction. They're hearing from the landlord's contractor, it will be done by this date, and they don't know. They think it will be done, but someone from our team and us being a construction expert, when we actually go take a look, we're like, whoa, they haven't even started grading yet. They haven't even started the underground. So we do know the process, what it takes to build. So if they're not at certain stage, even at that time, maybe even 6 months away or a few months away, we can already tell this is delayed, right? And that's why it happens. Now, what happens sometimes if the owner or the client is very proactive, they may have their things figured out and they may have their contractor, but their contractor can't do anything other than putting a sign on the wall saying it's under construction, but they're waiting for the landlord to be completed so they can move in. So that happens a lot. Another reason delays happen is something similar on existing spaces where the landlord has a space and they would say, they need to demolish it or do certain things. Let's say provide you a gas line.
So the landlord is doing work for you, but they're delayed.
Yeah, and now they're delayed. And they're delayed because they're contractors, and there are many reasons that might be similar to us that we're discussing here. That's why they're delayed, but they're delayed. Yeah. That happens a lot. Another one I'll tell you, which is actually not a delay, but it looks like a delay, is that a lot of times we have seen that, especially with the high-end, really nice properties, tenant will move in, like will pay their deposits, will get the property so they can have it with them, and they may even start paying rent because it's such a great location that they found that is worth having the location. But they haven't started anything. They haven't even started their building permit process. They haven't even started looking at the contractors. They haven't even hired anybody. Now, that is a delay too. That is actually on the client that they may not think it is. But I mean, I would call it a business decision Like, hey, if you're looking at a piece of property and you know you'll lose it, because it takes time to get it up, right? Once you find a property, you have a tender or a request for quotation out. That takes time to come back, and then you choose your contractor. Then it still have to be approved by your landlord, and they have to go through your landlord's list, and then your drawings has to be approved, and then the building permits and all that stuff takes a lot of time. So if you have an opportunity where you can break a deal with your landlord, and you get to take the property, show your interest, but not taking the possession, not putting any money in, great. And that's what happens 99% of the time. But I'm talking about those properties, like high-end properties in a busy intersection, in the city center, close to the stadium, like anything that makes money, that brings a lot of money. Those are very unique locations that there is no others of that location. This is where you would pay that rent, and you would do anything to get that piece of property as a tenant, so you have that location. Even maybe you have to wait maybe a few months until you actually get the process started, and you actually get to move in. And I've seen a lot of clients have done that, based on their scenario, maybe because like I said, they'll miss the opportunity, or maybe something wasn't even planned on their end, but they really like the location, so they went ahead and got it. But they end up paying for it. Now, to other people, that might look like a delay, and things aren't moving. Even to the clients, it's like, oh my God, I'm paying for this place and things aren't moving. But most of the time, it could be a really good business decision, because if you look at your 5-year tenure or 10-year tenure, because of making that decision and securing that location, now you're going to make that money back 10 times, right? So that's the other hidden one that looks like a delay, but it's not.
So plan ahead and know the commercial leasing procedure in advance, so you can negotiate a good deal.
Yeah. Number one, I would say, there are some properties are unique. They're probably, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 areas maximum per city that you cannot find another location like that. And it depends on the city. Bigger the city, more they have it, and depends, where those locations are and where they're located. Like, I'll give an example, because we deal with a lot of that as well. Malls. Inside a mall, you got a food court. There's only limited spot, and there's only one mall like that. So I know personally there are malls where the franchises have the list, like they're waiting on years for years. The franchisees are waiting, the tenants, the owner are waiting on the waiting list for years to get into the mall. They're waiting for that guy either to go bankrupt, which obviously it won't happen with a good mall. If it's a good mall, they're making money, so it wouldn't be happening anyway. But they're waiting for someone to have their lease expired or have something go. And sometimes I've seen that a lot too, and we have actually dealt with clients like that and done work with them like that. They would go buy out an entire store, including its fixtures, just to get the location. So just to give you an example, if there is this premium mall, only one kind in Calgary.
Chinook.
Let's take a Chinook Mall. It's actually on top of the list. And then there's the food court only had limited spots, so maybe they got 20 stores or whatever. And that one store is, has a lease for, let's say, for 10 years, for 8 years, but they're not doing well. And another franchise who have a really interest, like they're interested in that spot, they may put an offer to that store and say, hey, how about we take your store as is? You just walk away with money or nothing. If you're failing anyway, we'll pay for your equipment, we'll take everything as is, and we'll take over your lease, but we're just going to put our franchise. So they actually end up buying everything. So that store owner may say, well, I only built it 2 years ago and I spent $200,000 on it, so I'm not giving it away. Like, okay, fine, we'll write you a check for $150,000 or $180,000, whatever that makes sense. Maybe $200,000, but we want that spot. We really want it. So that happens. This is basically has nothing to do delay, but just letting you know how actually the market works too. So maybe you're that tenant and you found that location and you're like, oh God, I'm so far away, I shouldn't get this location, because maybe it makes sense. Maybe do your math for the 2, 3, 4, 5 years and see maybe it makes sense paying 60, 80 grand in wastage or rent just to get the best spot that you can hold it for 10 years.
And then you could make up for it with all the people coming by, the population, because it's a great location. Maybe you'll lose in rent. However, the people coming by over time will pay itself off.
Yeah.
And it'll balance everything with profit.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are the things that we kind of deal with. Now, those are the things that are not blamable to the contractor or the owner, the franchisee or the tenant, the owner, because those delays are happening that are not in control. The controllable delays that happen, so let's talk about the tenant. What could a tenant or an owner do to cause a delay? Number one, the delay comes from the owner is the payment. The biggest reason why there could be a project is because the owner does not have a payment to make in order to push the project forward. Hence, this will cause a delay in
stop
the project.
Work. There could be a stop work order.
Yeah.
So where they don't pay, then the GC stops working.
Pretty much
until they pay,
and subcontractors stop working as well. So that's the number one area where the owner lack on their part sometime, and then the delay happen, and now the project is not moving forward, and it looks like it's taking forever. It must be a really bad contractor. Well, behind the scenes turns out the owner don't have the money or don't have the arrangement or resources, hence is delaying everything. So that is the reason. Another reason why delays happen from the owner end, from the clients or the franchisee or the tenant's end, is they don't have their stuff put together. Okay, so they don't know what design they want, they don't know what finishing they want, and they haven't decided on their equipment, let's say,
or they haven't scheduled ahead for the equipment. Like they haven't planned out the lead timing, so the equipment will come, let's say, next year, and you didn't even know. Now, what are you going to do during that time, right? So planning is important.
Those are also the scenarios we've been through. There's so many projects that we built under 30 days, but only few of them shine, they've become a big news. I'll tell you what some of them what happened. So we work our butt off to finish a project, let's say 19 days, and the client is saying, hey, I need this done, need all constructions done, I need to open within 30 days and blah blah blah. So we're like, okay, we'll finish as soon as we can. So we finish the store, day and night working, 20 days we're done. And now we waited another 30 days, just more than even what we took to do construction, just to wait for the owner's equipment. Because obviously your store is not open, you don't have occupancy, you can't really run it without having your equipment, right? If you have a pizza store, you can't do anything with your pizza oven, with your equipment store, right? So, without the equipment in your store. So it's very important that you plan things like that ahead, right? You don't forget the parts in the way. And that's where we, a professional contractor or Pircon will come in, and then this is where we educate. This is what we do with our client to help out in the process where they're not missing those things, right? Where they will make sure, and we can't do anything. We can't really force them to do anything, but we always recommend make sure your money is there, sitting in the account. You put it on the side, separate from anything else, because if you're building a store, you might have to buy furniture, you may have to pay people for salary, you may have to put deposit for equipment. Don't mix your construction money with anything else, because if you don't have a constructed place, nothing makes sense. There's no point hiring an employee because he has no place to work for. Yeah. Right? So that delay happened. Another reason why delays happen from the owner, they're ordering equipment and they have put too much money to order the equipment, but they have $0 to do the construction, and that is also coming from the experience. So We had a store owner. He had, let's say, 500,000 to do the whole thing, but he only had a couple 100,000, 300,000 in his pocket. He went ahead and ordered equipment worth of 200,000 ahead of time, and haven't even started the construction. And he wants to start construction, but he's only got 100,000 left. So he gets started with that. But guess what? It's not enough to do the full construction. Now they have the equipment and unfinished store. And that's nothing. It's no good for anyone, right? So what they should have done is not order their equipment. This is where a GC, a professional contractor, can come and help you, and then they can see, okay, what is your whole plan? When do you need things, and where your timelines are at, and then they can line it up with their construction and see if it's going to work out or not.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Also, another way that an owner can cause a delay is also self-managing. So if I have met a lot of project managers or a lot of owners that think they can do it on their own, or they do it in-house, or they build a triplex on their own, they build a fourplex on their own, and then they don't really know the process and the construction, and they're doing everything on their own, but they don't have that construction finesse where they know each step, they know where they can fit people on top of each other and trades can work simultaneously. Or maybe they don't have the project management skill and knowledge on the schedule to know when, hey, this guy's coming next. We'll schedule this guy here. We'll schedule this guy there. Or there's a huge open delay in time where I see someone not working. There could be room for work, but nothing's being done for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden there's 2 weeks wastage has gone. So those are those things. Poor project management, doing construction project management without experience can be 2 reasons for your construction delay. So that's a big no-no.
Yeah. Like every time an owner tries to take the project their own, and I've seen some very experienced ones too in the industry, like they're pretty much contractor, but this is not their business, right? This is not their bread and butter. Like he's a bar owner, but he knows people here and there and have enough contacts around that can get anything done. I've never seen one owner ever finishing on time, even though they know more construction than I ever did. I never seen, because they got a life, they got family, and their main businesses, let's say their restaurants and their bars, and they have people coming in for that. There's activities that are happening within that business. On top of that, you're trying to handle a construction. And as the owner, now you're made yourself a contractor, because you're already a designer pretty much. You're already a tenant. You're already a franchisee or the store operator. Now you gave yourself another job, which is construction, which is biggest of all, because you still got to design like what paint and what ceiling. And when you start doing this your own, you're actually kind of clouding up your brain, because now it's not you not only have to worry about, hey, what are the colors that I need to provide, what is the design, what is the menu, what are the themes are like, what kind of new products I can bring it in. You're now worried about, hey, is my electrician going to show up tomorrow or not? And if he doesn't, then what do I do next? Because they're right behind him is the drywall guy, and he needs the electrical done before he puts his... there is so much of moving parts that are happening that I've almost seen every single owner fail in this part, especially when they got... And I'm saying, sure, there might be that one or two, that genius person that, and I can bet you they don't have anything else to do. That's the only way you can take care of construction. So you should always leave it out. If you're trying to make money, if you got a business and you want to make money out of that business, you definitely don't want to give it in your own hands.
Yeah. And, this can go a two-way street as well. I don't want to put a lot of blame on others on why they're delayed, but I do know this can go the same for the contractor as well. If your team, you hire a GC, a contractor that doesn't have good project management skills, has never done QSR before, has never done that type of project you've done before, has no knowledge, because there are contractors out there that anyone wakes up and they're suddenly a contractor and they have a tool belt now. Now they're a GC, but they don't know anything.
Oh yeah, it's the easiest thing to do, right?
It's gonna lead you to failure. So that is a huge thing. With us, with Pircon Group, we have really advanced project managers with tons of experience. Adeel and Chris has a lot of experience. I'm getting up there as well.
There is this
we
phrase
have the best team.
That I've heard it, and it's so well. It goes so well, right? And that's my early years, and I'm like, wow, that is something I definitely don't want. Is that everybody can start a construction project, but not everybody can finish it. If you can, I don't know, you can pretty much, I can go to a 2-year-old and say, we need to build this, right? Let's purchase material. Like, everybody's excited when you have to start something. It's when you face the problems, when you get the issues, is that what you're not excited about? It's when people don't show up to do that certain work, and now it's causing a delay and the monies, and there's the headache. That's what not people are happy about. And that's why that's a great quote. That's why, there used to be a show on TV, Brian. It's from Brian Bomber, and I follow him a lot. I used to, especially. I haven't actually seen any of his recent shows, but he had this show. I forgot what it's called, and it was just named perfectly. So
Build That House.
No, he had this show where he would actually go finish the unfinished projects, right? And it's usually the wives, right, and their husbands are like, yeah,
leave
honey.
Leave it to Brian.
Yes, I think leave it to Brian. There you go. So exactly, leave it to Brian. I would say leave it to Pircon. I would say leave it to professionals. That's what you should be looking at. So is the husband's trying to build a basement or husband trying to build a deck, and they just finished. They're really excited to get, I'm going to do this, for my wife's anniversary and for her birthday, and I'm going to build her dream, backyard, whatever she wanted. And then they purchase material, they start 1 day, 2 day, 3 day in, boom, they're out. They gave up, and then the materials end up sitting there rotting. And then Mr. Brian had to come there and show them how things are done, and he would actually finish it for them. So that's what I would say. Leave it, right? Everybody can start a project. Every contractor out there just coming up and can say, yeah, I can do this and I can do that. It sounds very exciting, and I'm ready to do this, blah, blah, blah. But they cannot finish it. So the finishing, it matters a lot. It's what matters, right? It's everything. If you don't have a finished project, there's no point having something to begin with. So very important there. You want to have it in the right hands, and then you want to have your planning to be done so there's not causing delays. So make sure your money is there. You're fully planned around that. Make sure your design is there. You're fully planned around that. You should already know before you start a construction. You already want to have that conversation with your contractors, with your GC, like where to the end, what is everything, right? And this is where, like I said, a professional contractor would come in and they can provide you that support if you're missing. It's good to know that you know that for yourself, but they can help you on the back end, and then they can bring up these things and get it done. And last one I would mention, that anything that you're ordering as an owner, as the franchisee or tenant, that whatever you need to bring it in and be part of that construction, whether it's the furniture, whether it's your equipment, whether it's the TVs you're buying, whether it's the lamps you have collected, whatever that is, make sure that is also already there. It's fully planned and it's looked after. We came out with this term today, and we talked about it before, but it's that having the ball in the court. Make sure the ball is always in the other person's court. Just simple as that. Just keep it like that. Have your payment in. Have your all selections done.
Yeah.
And whatever is needed from you. Maybe they need a key from you.
Yeah.
Make sure you give them the key. The ball is in their court, not yours. So 5 days go by and they're like, how come you haven't started my project? Well, you haven't given me the keys. So So make sure the things are in their court, and then you can push it on your end to move the project forward.
That's kind of like what I shared last week on last week's podcast about, do what you say or you'll get bullied. It does play a part in terms of that relationship, because if you're not if the GC, if we're not doing it, it lets the other person point fingers at us and blame us. But if we're doing what we say and we're following through on our task list and we're following through on our milestones and our timeline, there is no reason for anyone to point fingers at anyone or for them to point fingers at us, because we're doing it, we're achieving what needs to be done, and they can't say anything because we have done it and we document it and it's proven and it's there. So that's why do what you say you will do on time as well. It applies to you whether you're an employee or you're a GC working for a client.
Yeah, so that's the summary on delays that we can think of outside the contractors.
Oh, so do you want to go into the contractors as well?
So if I think we would need another episode for that, because there's so many things that a contractor do wrong or could do wrong that cause delays. So they are the main source of causing delays. But this podcast is not just to talk about the delays that are outside of the contractor, the delays that are caused by you as the owner, or the delays are caused by parties related to you, like landlord or your suppliers or your equipment providers. But sure, I would say, every 9 projects out of 10, it's because of the contractors, right? If their delays are happening, it's mainly because of contractor. But there are those scenarios where the client doesn't have the payment, where they don't have the equipment, where they don't have things in place, where the landlord is not in place with their item, where the other prime contractor, if there is one, like working in the malls when the new malls are built, they're delayed. So,
or there's issues with sub-trades, all that stuff.
Yeah, and it looks like it's the contractor who's delayed. Yes, the contractor is delayed 90% of the time, but there is that 10% when it's affected by the parties outside of the contractor. And this is how you resolve them. There are actually another one that delays get caused by the city. So if there's any approvals from the city, or if there's anything, inspections that are held up because of the city, that is also outside of the contractors. It's not in their control. That they can't do anything. It's not because of their fault sometimes. And see, these are the things, like your landlord, the city, and even your suppliers. Sometimes they're not in your control. Like, you can't really do anything if the landlord is delayed. If the building is not built, it's not built. So you can't do anything other than complaining to them, other than maybe you have some other commitment. You can take it and act upon the contract that you may have. But most of the time they don't have contract that would allow you to say anything or do anything to them, because they also facing a lot of issues and problems on their end, and they can't promise things like that. But what is in your control is those 3 things. So make sure your homework is done properly. Whatever you need to get done on your side, which is the payment, which is your directions, which is your selection of what you want it done, and also your team, whether it's your project managers, whether it's your support team, whether it's your supplier, they're all on board.
For sure. And also, from a high level, we're all human, and mistakes do happen on each end. A GC can make a mistake. Also, the client can make a mistake as well, or the city makes a mistake. These mistakes all happen. What you could do is make sure you pick the right team, a right GC team as well. So if you want to choose a team that has very minimal project management issues, go find a team that has a strong construction management team. They have project managers, they have project coordinators, they have an in-house designer, they have good planning, good back systems, they have operations. You see how organized they are. They track everything. Everything's on a calendar. Everything is in a Google Drive or a spreadsheet or somewhere that's tracked, and everything is organized. And they use email, and they don't just do handshake deals. They actually keep things ready. Go find a team that is professional and organized like that. There's lots out there. We're very like that as well. As you could tell by our appearance, we like to keep things organized. Go find that team that is well built, because go find that team.
Yeah.
They're out there and they're strong.
Yeah, it's very important that you have the right team working right beside you, because that's the only way, having the right people, the professional along your side, that's how you're going to get to your finishing line.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that was it for today. I hope that you guys had some useful information out of our discussion, out of our podcast today. And we'll be back with more next week and coming weeks. And if you guys have any questions or any comments, we would love that to hear from you. Please, do subscribe our channel, hit the like button, and do let us know in your comments if you would like us to discuss about something and something you're having issues with that we can answer.
Awesome. Sounds great. Yeah. How do you want to end it?
Yeah, I would say. I would say it's you. Final say, Kevin.
Okay, awesome. Thank you everyone for tuning in. This is episode 41, all about construction delays. We'll go. I want to suggest we go deeper again, maybe on some other stuff on delays as well. So we'll 100%. Stay tuned to what we have. As like I shared earlier, if you want to stay up to speed, hit the subscribe, and you can get notifications on when we go and when our next episode is being launched. Stay tuned. We're excited to have you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.